Okay, so as always, I apologize for the setup that I have right here. But anyways, a little bit different kind of style of class today. So instead of having an accessory kind of be like an afterthought, we're gonna make it the mainstay, the strength for the session today. So with this thing, obviously, like you said, you would still have a warm up. Now, luckily, the thing is that this here, the strength accessory, won't be as difficult to instruct. Basically, you'll give them you'll give them a good idea of what the movements are they're doing, and then also how to scale, because not everyone's going to be able to do a pull-up, for example. The half-kneeling Arnold press, however, is something that almost anyone can do. If for whatever reason they're a little unstable, they can hold onto the rack beside them or something like that, but encourage people to get down on that half-kneeling side. So when you look at what the video is, right, like it'll give you a good idea. Now for the Arnold press, the weight starts here. They press up and out, right? They twist, they externally rotate their wrist as they're pressing. And then when they bring it back down, they bring it back to that knuckle forward facing direction. So keep that in mind. Now it is 8 to 10 reps per side. Just use that as a weight range. If they pick a little bit heavier, they can be okay in that 8 rep range. But if they have a little bit lighter, then encourage them to go for that 9 or 10th rep. They'll do all reps on one side, switch all reps on the other. Very straightforward. Now, things to focus on for the half-kneeling Arnold press, aside from making sure that they're, doing the movement right, they're going to keep that core engaged. Okay, don't have them rush through it either. So nice and tight. Have them think about actively flexing their abs when they're in that half-kneeling position, and then staying in control the entire time. It should be this, right? Nice and slow, pause for a half second at the top, bring down, okay? Have them play around with it a little bit first. Encourage them to go a little bit heavier in like set 2 or 3 if the first set is just like way too easy, right? Now, secondly, you have a pulling movement. So 6 to 8 strict pull-up is the goal. So if they can't do 6 to 8 strict pull-ups, if they can do 6 to 8 strict pull-ups and it's way too easy, have them add 5 to 10 pounds, okay? This is the rep weight range they want to work in, so encourage them to do something to stick with that rep range. If they can't do 6 to 8 unassisted, right, have them add a band. Light band, make sure that they're not just easily repping it out the entire time. It should be at least somewhat challenging. And that being said, it shouldn't be a 1 rep max on their last rep every single time, okay? They want to think about having probably like 1 to 2 reps in the tank for each set, for each exercise in each set. So that also applies to the Arnold press as well, okay? Just make sure that people are moving well here, okay? Like I said, if they're fighting for every single rep on that pull-up, they're not going to gain as much. So other options, I wouldn't encourage people to do too many ring rows, just because this pull is different than this pull. So instead, what you could do is actually have them do some negatives. So instead of 6 to 8, because that would be kind of aggressive, I would instead have them do anywhere from 2 to 4, maybe 5, depending on how they are. Now for that negative, they want to make sure they're starting over the bar, chin over the bar, and as slow as they can, they're going to lower themselves into that bottom position. They'll then let go of the bar, use a stool or something like that to get back up over that rep. So with that, it will be a little bit more challenging in terms of, what they have to do. The sets will take a little longer, but again, it's better than just being like, here, do 6 to 8 ring rows, because that would not be challenging enough. And again, it is a different movement pattern for the most part. So it is 5 sets, right? 8 to 10 reps on the half-kneeling press per side, and then 6 to 8 strict pull-ups. Again, they can add weighted, they can just do the body weight if that's a good range. If they're like if they can do like 4 or 5, they probably only need a red or a black band to complete these reps. So make sure, again, like watch people doing it. You should be able to tell if it's too easy, but if they have like a moderate amount of difficulty when they're doing it, then just kind of leave them be, just make sure all movement standards are being held, right? So locked out at the bottom, chin over the bar at least at the top. So with this, you'll probably want to give them about 20 minutes or so. It's low key, right? You don't have to get too stressed about, or sorry, they don't have to get too stressed about this for one, right? But make sure they are focusing in their sets when they're actually doing it, okay? Just because it says accessory doesn't mean that it's not important. If anything, it's stuff like this, doing this more often, that will actually be different in terms of what I would be programming for someone than a regular class, right? This is the kind of stuff that not everyone is going to be doing, and that's why, you know, it gives members an opportunity to train things differently than they would have before, and hopefully long term build more strength, build more muscle, just become fitter overall. So moving on, you then have a 15-minute AMRAP. So 15 toes to bar, 10 or a 7, right, for the ladies, cal, assault bike, and then 5 D-ball to shoulder. So right off the bat, try and stick with this rep range for sure. It's pretty manageable. Don't let people scale the assault bike. Ideally, looking at things over 5 rounds is definitely possible, depending on how they are on the bike and the gymnastics. It's going to come down to the toes to bars. For, you know, most people, the bike will probably take 30 seconds, right? That's how long it should be taking to do the bike, anywhere from 30 to 45, depending on the person, of course. But for the toes to bar, scaling options right off the back, encourage them to get on the bar, okay? Kipping L, kipping B, anything that has them doing that kipping motion without, anything that has them doing the kipping motion at a height before they lose it, kind of thing. So if they can do a kipping L to here, no problem, no problem, no problem, but this is, no problem, no problem, this is where they start to lose it, don't let them go here. Encourage them to get as high as possible, because it's building the range of motion and the strength in that range of motion at the point where it starts to fail, that is going to get them better to actually doing kipping V's or full range of motion toes to bar. So encourage them to get on the bar. That being said, it's going to be kind of tough for some people who may not have used it for a while. So a hanging knee raise is also good as well, as long as they're kind of getting that lever on the bar, right? The push and pull that kind of brings them in front of and behind the bar every single time. So encourage them again. Get on the bar. If not, they can just do a strict knee raise as well. If they can't hold onto the bar for whatever reason, like a shoulder issue, for example, a laying leg raise. I wouldn't try and make too many people do sit-ups unless they're like brand new to this shit. But for the most part, hanging from the bar will be possible for most people. They shouldn't be doing a set of 15 unbroken anyways. Most people would probably have to do 2 sets or even 5-5-5. But moving on to the assault bike again, 30 to 45 seconds, very straightforward. It's just to kind of keep people moving. Now, in terms of numbers, if you have, 7 or 8 assault bikes and there's 9 people or whatever in class, you would just have you could have one person start on the assault bike, or the toes to bar may affect people a little bit differently. You can just have them wait, but that's kind of up to you. Staggering it won't really make a difference, so you can do that as well. Now the D-ball is shoulder. This is the one thing that's going to be a little bit different. So typically in a D-ball clean, we pick the ball up, we bring it up, and then exactly that, over the shoulder. We would then switch sides, alternate. The D-ball to shoulder, it's a lot faster, it's a lot easier. That's why the RX weights are a little lower, right? Most of the time men would be using the 125, but instead they're going to use the 100, and that's because they want to be able to do it quickly. So the D-ball to shoulder is exactly that. The ball comes up here, back down. Okay, so it's kind of like a power clean in some way, but ball comes up to the shoulder. You're still going to alternate sides, but instead of flipping it over, they don't even have to really rest it on the shoulder. They could honestly just do this in front. As long as the hips are locked out, the ball can go back down. Okay, now just make sure, if you're going to do any like lesson plan kind of stuff, like where you break things down, it'll be on the toes to bar, but you could also do some on the D ball as well, because you want to make sure that people aren't going to break their spine when they pick this ball up. Again, Lighter ball, that's good. That'll kind of help with that, but encourage people to hinge so the hips go back when they bend down to pick it up. If they come up, squeeze it in close. Notice the neutral spine. Hips up and then back down. Okay? So I think that covers everything. Again, warm up, you already have. You can do your own if you don't like what I have, totally okay. But just make sure they are ready for this. If you do change it, just make sure that there's some kind of like good engagement of the shoulder. This will help with this, but you want them to be ready to be on that bar from the get-go. Other than that, for the accessory work, again, just put it off to the side. Let them know that they have the option to add that to their session afterwards. Anyways, a little extra accessory never hurt anyways. But this one is a little bit longer. That's okay. So yeah, last closing notes for this kind of work, or sorry, again, like this style of workout will appear at least probably once a week, I would assume, where we play around with some different exercises that we wouldn't really do, right? It's not just like we're gonna do, a strict press or, just pull-ups or something like that. We can use this opportunity to combine them, okay? They can go less reps, less weight, whatever it is, just to make sure that we are hitting things differently than in a regular class, right? A strength doesn't have to be a back squat, doesn't have to be a deadlift or a power clean or something like that, right? We can use that strength portion, right? So lifting off of a clock or not under fatigue to get stronger, right?